an eye-opening experience for sure. The helmet, for me as a creative partner in making the show, it felt like a necessary step to tell the kind of story that I wanted to tell and be a part of telling. I wanted to tell. I wanted to tell. I wanted to tell.
Fuck.
Takes like this make me just want to. I find it pretty bizarre that a lot of modern creators will take something that has stood the test of time. Let's take Halo, for instance. It's been around for over 20 years. It's had a pretty faithful fan base that keep giving 343 a try. Initially, when a game launches, they'll have really, really high numbers, and then a lot of us fall off because it just doesn't have the same magic it used to have. But then, you get TV show or movie creatives, and they get the rights to a product. And they look at it, and they go, this is alright. I'm gonna do my own thing, though. And then proceed to write some of the nastiest and most retarded dog shit that's ever hit the screens, ever. And for a lot of money. That's exactly what happened with Halo. They took something that's been around for over 20 years and decided, I'm gonna throw out all the interesting bits, and I'm gonna put my own stuff in there. Because I'm selfish, and I'm narcissistic, and my artistic vision is all that matters. Fuck the people that came here first and wrote the story in the first place. Fuck the fans that have kept this franchise alive for a long time. It's about me and what I want to do. I went easy on Pablo Schreiber after season 1 because I figured he was just an actor. He hadn't really said anything too stupid yet. I was more so blaming the writers and the showrunners. As of late, Pablo has said a lot of stuff that I find super cringe. And since he's co-producing the show now, you rightfully bear some of the blame, Pablo. The first thing I'm going to cover today is the most important part of the video, because I want the most people to understand this part. To anybody who's tried to argue about the helmet, saying that we just can't get over it, terrible argument by the way, I'm going to explain to you why in their own universe, Master Chief not wearing a helmet doesn't make sense. John Halo taking his helmet off in the Halo TV show doesn't make sense by their own logic. For a moment, I'm going to throw out the video games and take it as an adaptation and as its own thing. In their universe, Master Chief should not be without his armor. Master Chief shouldn't even be fighting anybody. Now, I know that sounds crazy, so let me explain. From the human's perspective, in this TV show, Halo is something that they can find and use to win the war. In the first season, they say, find the Halo, win the war. Master Chief is 1 in 500 million. The terrible bitch Makee was also 1 in 500 million. Makee is dead, meaning as far as anyone knows, Covenant and human alike, John Halo is the only living being that can interact with the stupid Keystone. John Halo should not be engaging in combat. The aliens should not want to kill John Halo. They should want to capture him. John Halo would not be fighting. He would be locked down in a bunker until they found Halo so they could use him to do whatever flumpy, tismy shit they need to do. And if he were allowed to fight, which wouldn't be the case, but I'll grant it for a second, he would not be out of his armor. He would not be without a helmet. You see, they wrote themselves into a corner. It's important to understand that when you are arguing for Master Chief to have his helmet on, it helps you to use their own ammunition against them. We can talk all day about how we've never seen Master Chief's face in the game. All true fans know that under Master Chief's helmet is another helmet. The people running this show do not care about you. They do not care about me. They do not care about any of the fans. They only care about themselves and the stories that they want to tell. And now that we have covered their big in-universe reason for why Master Chief should put his fucking helmet on, let's talk about some other stuff, shall we? Starting with some of the key bits from the rest of this interview.
If you're a deep Halo fan, I think for a lot of people, there's a desire to have the same experience as you had when you played the game. And that was certainly not, a huge priority for most of the people creating the show. It was to create a universe that felt familiar to the games, and so you could be in a universe that felt the same, but to have a different and unique experience. And to that end, taking the helmet off felt like a very important piece of that puzzle.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that most people who watch this show and are fans of the games don't feel connected to that universe in the slightest. This is some weird pseudo sci-fi Game of Thrones wannabe, but way fucking worse, Harry Potter, Asteroid Planet, garbage, where nothing makes sense, everything is contrived, and all of the characters that you adapted are worse than their video game counterparts by a fucking mile, at least. I think the true statement here that you can't say is that you thought, Halo's a pretty cool universe, we can tell our own story with the IP, fuck everything up, and do exactly what we want to do. Because the fans and the prior lore don't matter. This is Silver Timeline, baby, which means we can use Halo's skin and some of the iconic sounds and music and pick and choose whatever we want, but deliver the most garbage piece of shit TV show ever.
So, as controversial as it is in some corners, it didn't feel hugely controversial for me.
That's because you're not a fan, you fucking cocksucker. Listen, there was something that was going around whenever Star Wars started sucking really bad, when Disney got it. The saying goes, nobody hates Star Wars like Star Wars fans. Well, the thing is, and the reason that saying is retarded, you can't really hate something without having loved it. Who do you think is going to be more upset at a bad Star Wars film or a bad Halo TV show? Somebody who hasn't played any of the games and who's never given a shit about Halo, or somebody who's been playing them since they were 5 years old? If you don't know the answer to that, you might be stupid.
You want to go home and rethink your life?
I want to go home and rethink my life.
This circles back to me saying this didn't feel controversial to you, Pablo, because you didn't fucking care about Halo before you were Master Chief. I don't know why I have to spell this out to you. You're supposed to be this super smart auteur. This is also a really good time to point up the fact that I put this meme in here with Henry Cavill.
Fuck.
For two reasons. The line works really well, and also Henry Cavill's a fucking Chad. Henry Cavill's the chaddest Chad in Hollywood. He's the gaming nerd that lifts weights. He's a handsome dude, knows how to build his own PC, and he builds figurines from Warhammer 40k. You don't get much more Chad than that. Now Pablo seems like he can't stop sniffing his own farts. Pablo thinks he made something great with Halo Season 1, when it was like on par with Velma. The whole point is I wish Henry Cavill was in charge of this show. I want Henry Cavill to be in charge of all video game adaptations, because if that were the case, you know the man would be going as hard as he could to be as faithful as he could. It's just how he is. It's what we all want. Just give Henry Cavill everything, especially Halo.
Yeah. But there's also people who waited 20 years to see, the face under the helmet, right? So you're always going to have both. And
that's some pretty desperate rationalization right there. I think when we were all really young playing these games growing up, we wanted to see the face. We were always curious if we were ever going to get the face. And then the trilogy ended without it, and we thought, this is better. I don't want to know what he looks like. And I certainly didn't want this dickweed being the face reveal on the end of episode 1 of your first season. I mean, what a fucking cop-out of an excuse. You guys couldn't wait to pull that shit off, because then you got him walking around in his tech suit that I love to call his pajamas all the time. It was desperation. I can see a world where you do the face reveal in like season 3 or 4 or something. After you build up all of the amazing groundwork that you're going to be using for your TV show, not whatever the hell you did in season 1.
And it was very important for the journey of John, right? The man inside the helmet, to be able to see him.
God damn it. The obsession with the face. It's just, I don't really understand how they come to these conclusions in their head. Like, in Halo 2, the cutscene, which I have a video that I'm working on, hopefully going to be out soon, talking about this scene. Master Chief legit says, You told me there wouldn't be any cameras. And you told me you were gonna wear something nice. Master Chief doesn't have an ego problem. Like, he knows he saved the world in Halo 1. He doesn't need to have his face plastered on camera. He'd rather be battle ready in his suit, fully armored up, in case the Covenant attack Cairo Station, which they absolutely fucking do, because the Covenant are dicks like that. Master Chief doesn't feel the need to have his face on camera, which is the exact opposite of what I can say about Pablo.
But also, there's no point in having an actor of Pablo's caliber if you're not going to take the helmet off.
I was saving this bit for the end because I found it extremely cringe. She's just trying to be nice to her co-star or co-worker, but like, Pablo is not an amazing actor to the point where you just have to have his face plastered on screen constantly. Not only do we have him taking his helmet off to a ridiculous level, but we have mounted in helmet cameras, multiple from different angles, so we can get multiple versions of the same facial expression. And he over emotes a lot. The scene where he's walking through the house and the computer's doing all the weird flumpy shit, his face is doing some weird stuff, man. Like, calm down. Less is more sometimes. Like, Jesus. I promise you, I would have been happier if I was seeing his head move around in helmet, because when you do small things, you do the juxtaposition where he looks at something, and if he's feeling sad about it, he maybe puts his head down a little bit. They did this excellently in the games. I don't understand why they're so afraid to do it in the show. Just do it in the show. I promise you, Pablo is not a good enough actor to justify taking the helmet off this often. Pretty sure Robert Downey Jr. was more willing to be fully armored up and show himself as Iron Man in the first Iron Man and Avengers and all those movies more than Pablo is here. And he's fucking RDJ. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's such cope. Such massive copium going on here. I don't get it. Well, since I just brought up RDJ and Iron Man, and they won't stop jabbering their pie holes about why it's so fucking necessary to have Master Chief's face instead of his helmet, I figured this was a perfect time to just list off some iconic characters that always were helmeted up, or masked up, or at least more so than Master Chief is. We have Darth Vader, Master Chief, well, yeah, V from V for Vendetta, excellent movie. Deadpool, we have Ryan Reynolds, who's far better of an actor than Pablo probably ever will be. And I guarantee he's in the mask more in Deadpool 1 and 2 than Pablo is in, like, I'm talking ratio. Mask on, mask off type of ratio. Pretty sure Ryan Reynolds beats him out. And Ryan Reynolds is an established actor, right? Not to mention, when he's not wearing his Deadpool mask, his face is looking all fucked up, like a topographical map of Utah, as that one guy said it. And this is Ryan Reynolds we're talking about here. We got Bane. A lot of people didn't even know Tom Hardy was Bane. They were like, oh, he's too short. How is that possible? And they had to look it up, and they're like, oh, wow, Bane. He's doing the weird voice, and he never took the mask off. Isn't that cool? Not to mention, when Tom Hardy played Eddie Brock in Venom, he looked like a sweaty, homeless piece of shit the entire time. And Tom Hardy's in pretty good shape. He's a pretty handsome dude. But he committed to going the entire movie looking like a pile of ass. Something Pablo Schreiber would never do, because I think he takes himself too seriously. Boba Fett from the original trilogy, Mando, is shitty as, season 2 and 3 are of Mando. You still got that. E-Mile, I'm just going to throw him in there, because some of the Spartans in the games take their helmets off and you see their face and stuff, like George. But E-Mile, you never saw his face. He was pretty cool. I'm not saying he was, like, hugely characterized, but I feel like we got a lot more with E-Mile than we did with this John. I at least like him a lot more. Dredd from Judge Dredd, with good old Carl Urban committing to that helmet-wearing nonsense, as Pablo would put it. Wilson from Home Improvement. You only see his forehead, so just figured I'd throw that one in there. Also, since this show seems to have no faith in the inhuman characters or non-human characters, being able to be attached to. I figured I'd throw some in here just as reference. We have Arbiter. A lot of people connected with him. He's one of my favorites in Halo. Wally, fantastic movie. Love that little robot. Genie from Aladdin is not really human now, is he? We got Mushu. Pretty sure Mushu's fan favorite from the Mulan universe, the Mulan cinematic universe. R2D2 and C3PO, iconic, been around for a long time. Olaf, you know, really famous amongst kids. He's got some pretty funny lines in there. The entire Lion King list of characters. You know, I was about to write Mufasa, and then I was like, oh wait, there's no humans in that. Yet somehow we connected with them. I wonder what it is about camera angles and facial expressions with animations and the eyes, selling the eyes. I wonder what it is. Nah, just throw Mekhi in there. Moving on, we have Gollum. You know, really, really interesting character. Dobby. I don't really remember much about Dobby. I remember being like, oh no, when he died. But anyways, K2SO, the best character that Disney has come up with in Star Wars. Yeah, K2SO. The Iron Giant, great movie. E.T., Yoda, Gizmo. So, I mean, there's a pretty long list of helmeted or masked characters or non-human characters, all executed far better than this TV show that seemed to have no faith in keeping a helmet on or using an alien as a POV character. And people wonder why I have no faith in this show. There's a lot of reasons. Big one is I really like Arbiter. And they don't care to characterize the aliens in any type of way. They think that's dumb. So, yeah, fuck them. Now, I don't want to dive too heavily into everything he says, but I am going to cover multiple articles here about the cringe levels of good old Pablo Schreiber. So, I'm going to read something from this IGN article here. He says, people who don't feel the helmet was necessary to come off, they're at such an early conception of what the show could be, Schreiber said. I don't really understand this point because the show could be excellent if you followed the source material. You decided not to follow the source material, and I'm not saying that that's a necessity, but what you wrote was far worse. So I don't really understand how that's a point in his favor about the helmet. The show is piss, regardless if he has his helmet on or not, because the writing behind the show is piss. He also went on to say, in order to examine the discrepancy between these two versions of the character, Chief and John 117, you can't tell that story without taking the helmet off. If you don't agree with the helmet coming off in the show, you don't like our show. So there's no point in discussing it. So firstly, putting a helmet on and taking it off doesn't make you a different person.
What? Newsflash. It takes a little more than wearing a hat and or glasses to fool people.
Really?
Check this out. Watch. Uh-oh. I'm someone else. Are you fooled? I'm not Commissioner Gordon. He's gone.
Who are you? Where's Commissioner Gordon?
Just automatically. If I go put a bicycle helmet on, I don't become somebody else. I don't become a super perfect killing machine, but when I take my bicycle helmet, I don't turn into a super emotional, confused, whiny bitch boy. I actually have a full Halo costume. I promise you, when I put the Halo helmet on, I'm still goofy-ass dad to my kids. Motorcycle helmets, same thing. When I put on a motorcycle helmet, I don't just all of a sudden become a fucking perfect super soldier. It's weird. Okay, so yes, I don't think I need to make my case much stronger. You're not two different people when you have the helmet on versus when you have it off. You're still the same individual underneath the helmet. So, to the second point, you don't have to take the helmet off to tell that story. I felt like I understood John 117 pretty good when I played the video games. He was characterized a lot better than your version. A lot better. So, at the end, if you don't agree with the helmet coming off in the show, you don't like our show, so there's no point in discussing it. It's a really nice way to just end conversation. I think somebody's feeling a little insecure about the whole ordeal to say it like that. No, Pablo, I don't like your show. I don't like it at all. I played the trilogy in Reach and ODST multiple times since Season 1 came out, partially because I was getting my daughter into it, who became old enough to play. And that's been a lot of fun, but also right after the show was done, I did it just to wash the taste of your shitty show out of my mouth and remember what good Halo was like. But I guess you wouldn't listen to anything I'm saying right now, because if I don't like the helmet coming off, I don't like the show, and there's no point in talking about it. Felt like this would be a fitting article to cover next, given how dismissive he was in the last article. Pablo Schreiber begs fans to give Season 2 a chance despite defending his controversial decision. It's really funny that after saying if you don't like the helmet, you don't like the show, and there's no point in talking about it, he's now begging fans to come back and watch it. I find that absolutely hilarious, but more to the point, of course he's begging you to watch it, because if you don't watch it, then they're not going to have enough money for a third season, and he's out of a paycheck, and he'll have to go find a new ordeal to make money. That's really what this comes down to. They got approved for Season 2 before one aired, so the only way they're getting a Season 3 is if Season 2 performs well. So I'm going to say it here, if you're skeptical about it, or if you didn't like Season 1, the best way to fight back is just not to watch Season 2. If you want to, come back here every week, because I'm going to be reviewing this show episode by episode. I'm 100% committed. I want to rip this show a new asshole. I take that back. I want to review it accurately. If it's got good stuff in it, I'm going to say it's got good stuff in it. I will. I promise. But it's not going to stop me from pointing out how contradictory it is to the first season, because I'd imagine if anything's good in Season 2, it has to contradict Season 1, because there's so many fucking problems with that show. Don't watch it. Go play the game instead. So the main thing from this article is, as far as what to say to gamers, come back and see the differences between Season 1 and Season 2 and see if you like it. The show was incredibly well received internationally, as well as domestically, but the numbers we did internationally for Paramount Plus are off the charts and insane. And now, it's about creating the kind of show that we all can be the most proud of. I'm going to push that until I die or until I'm asked to leave. I want to make the best show possible, and I want to try to surround myself with people that are helping do that. Now, I do want to point out that you were only successful because you had the most scammy marketing I've ever seen. I said this in my last video, so I'll say it briefly here. They showed a fully armored, fully helmeted Master Chief killing aliens in all of the promotional material for Season 1, got a lot of people on the hype train, and then proceeded to air the first episode for free on YouTube to sink that hook in all of our mouths with our Paramount subscription. So of course they made a lot of money. Of course it did. Now, I will say that the last part there, that's some good stuff. He says, I'm going to push it till I die. I want to make the best show possible and surround myself with people to do that. The problem is, I don't have faith in any of you. Season 1 was atrocious. I don't think there's an ounce of talent there. I think Disney Star Wars, Disney Lucasfilm has more talent than you guys do, and that's saying a fucking lot. Lastly, I just want to talk about this article shortly that says Halo Season 2 is a gift to the fans, says executive producer. Basically, a lot of it's that we're going to be a little grittier, we're going to stick more to the source material, but there's always the caveat at the end that says, the helmet's coming off, guys, the helmet's coming off. So, refer to my previous point, back towards the beginning of this video, the helmet shouldn't come off. Actually, the best Spartan that's ever lived shouldn't even be fighting in your universe because of how fucking retardedly you wrote everything. So yeah, I have no faith in this. To be good, it would have to retcon a lot. If the show becomes very, very good, it's still built on a very, very shitty Season 1. All of that damage is still there. Halsey is a bitch. John is a pussy. Not to mention he's also retarded. Miranda Keyes sucks compared to her video game counterpart. Now, this is something I didn't see anybody complaining about. Miranda Keyes in the video game was pretty cool. She was always like mission focused, barely emotional, always just trying to do the right thing and just progress and just be a good leader. I feel like something that a lot of modern day creatives don't understand is how to write a good leader. And in this one, she's just confused, non-authoritative. I don't know how old the actress is, but she doesn't command respect or authority. Anyways, both the Keys sucks compared to their video game counterparts. We don't even have Johnson. They don't respect the aliens at all, so if they bring Arbiter into this season, he's gonna fucking suck. They made the Prophets suck. Like season 1, the Prophets were useless. Does anybody remember that in the final fight, the 3 Prophets were just floating above the whole thing? Like they could have just fucking looked up and killed them. What goofy little goobers just floating around up there? What the hell? Like, anybody who defends the show, I urge you, go back and watch it and actually pay attention. There's so much fucking stupid going on. My point being, if season 2 is good, it will either have to be retconning a lot of season 1 or just ignoring a lot that they set up, which is still kind of a retcon. All we can do is make reasonable judgments with the information provided, and the information provided so far is that season 2 is going to suck. If it doesn't, that would just be a pleasant surprise. And I will gladly say, good job, guys. I'm still annoyed you have Chief taking his helmet off to a ridiculous amount, but you wrote a good show. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think Master Chief's going to be taking his... I think John Halo is going to be taking his helmet off a lot, and the show's going to suck. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for my Halo Season 2 Episode 1 video, and I'll catch you guys and gals at the next one.
They do not care.
Oh, look, he's flying!